Hello, everybody, and welcome to this demonstration of the calculator, the trucking calculator. I have created this calculator myself. I do have some IT software engineering background, so I will be doing a demonstration on this calculator here for owner operators. They're able to use this company drivers as well, and if you are leased on to a carrier. What this does, it actually help people to calculate their earnings based on upon the load board, or if they're a company driver based on whether or not they want to know how much income that they're bringing in. So this is just a demonstration according to the load that they are taking or accepting. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right into this. All right. So let's do a simulation of the owner operator. I know some guys they get paid percentage. Others, like if you're leased on to a carrier, they get paid miles. Okay, so let's do a percentage miles. For an example, if you are a Landstar or other companies that similar to the Landstar pay. Well, before we get into that, let me give a quick description of what the simulator does. Okay, so right now you can either turn the simulator to on or off. Okay, so right now when I have this simulator turned on, it allows you to factor in the weight, the gear ratio, truck make and model, the engine size, speed, or whether or not you have any mountain driving. Okay, and it pretty much calculate how much fuel is needed for that trip according to the type of truck you have and all the other factors that plays a role into fuel consumption. Okay, and I have here at the bottom all of the tolerances based on your speed, engine size, the type of truck you have, the gear ratio, etc. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into this demonstration right here. Like I said, if you are a Landstar leased owner operator, or anyone that's leased on to a company that is similar to their pay, you would just select percentage, and I believe Landstar is 65% of the load. If you have your own trailer, you would select 75%, 70%. I'm not sure how that goes. So let's go ahead and select 65%. And if you know here at the bottom, the cents pay information is disabled. If I switch it to the cents, it changes. Then you're able to put in your earnings for that. All right, let's go back to the percentage. And let's go ahead and grab a load from the load board. Um, let's say, for an example, this load pays $12,000. Let's just do the top one. All right. Well, actually, let's just go ahead and work from top to bottom. This is just a demonstration. I know normally when you would do something like this, the load is already gone. So, I know that argument already. So let's go ahead and put in 20. Actually, let's go ahead and do the miles. 3,942. 3,942. Deadhead miles. Let's just say we're 60 miles or 63 miles away from the pickup spot. And your price, this load pays $12,000. Okay. Okay. All right. Your loaded weight. Let's see if they have a loaded weight. Uh, 25,000 pounds. All right. Let's go ahead and put 25,000 pounds. And if you notice, the gallons had dropped. Oh, I'm sorry, not drop. No, I'm sorry. That was the def. I think I have. Yeah, that was the def. Um, Speed. Let's just say we're running 65 miles an hour, and The fuel price, let's just say, you might have to fill up several times, for this, but let's just go ahead and put an average. If you're filling up only one time, just put the exact amount, but we're just going to go for the average, which is 0.495. Let's just say the average is 4.95. Okay. Def price, let's just say it's 4.08 cents. Fuel surcharge, if you do get fuel charge on this, you can include that. You can break it down cents per miles, or if you don't get fuel surcharge, you can just leave it at zero. Okay. If you have any tolls to pay, you will include that as well. If you have any scales, if you need to scale out the load, I know it used to be $12.50. Um, Now it went up to $13. I'm sorry. Yeah, it went up to $13. Since this load is only 25,000 pounds, I'm not going to scale it. Okay. Any lumper pay? There's no lumper pay. So let's see what we have here. And oh, I'm sorry. You can also select this to whatever truck you have, um, the engine that you have in that truck, and also the type gear ratio. All of this is factored in. Okay. So now let's see what we have here. So the average miles per gallon would be, for your deadhead miles, 10.80. Okay. Now if you notice, when I change my speed to 55, you will get better fuel mileage. Okay. You see that? It went from 10.90. All right. So let's go ahead and put this back to 65 miles an hour. All right. And the fuel cost would be $28 for that deadhead. All right. So over here to your loaded miles, this is where the numbers really fall into place. All right. So your average miles per gallon would be 8.30. And if you notice, if I change my truck or my engine, I'm pretty sure, like if I change it to like a Peterbilt or something, you see that the MPG falls, it goes down. Okay. So this is based on the tolerances that I had programmed over off to the right, according to the data that I've collected online. If for any reason these don't match your truck, you can do one or two things. If you understand how formulas work in Excel, you can unprotect the sheet, and you can go over here, you can change the tolerances for each truck. Okay. Or you can just turn this to off, the simulator to off, and it will calculate according to your average miles per gallon loaded and also empty. But you will not have functionality based on upon the late I'm sorry, the weight. I'm tongue twisted. The weight, also your miles, and also it will not factor in the type of truck you have. You won't have none of these functions. uh, and also the speed of your truck. So if you want more accuracy, you would put that to 1 and change your tolerances to match your truck. Okay, so let's go ahead and carry on. All right, so now what we have here, we have a total miles of 4,005 because your deadhead is included. Okay, and also if you look here at your rate, and if you notice here, your rate is different up here than it is down here because it's including your deadhead miles. Okay, I know some drivers, they don't include their deadhead miles, but that's very important. If you don't include your deadhead miles, then you will be off on your pay. All right. So here it tells you that how much fuel is needed, how much that fuel is going to cost, etc. And for an example, if you do get a fuel surcharge, you would enter that right here. Your fuel surcharge, let's just say you get, I don't know, let's just put in a number. If you get 100%, you just put in your 100, your your average rate according to national average. Let's just say the fuel surcharge is 0.66 to the gallon. All right, and if you see here, it changes. Your out-of-pocket fuel expense would be only $64, and your fuel expense would be $2,646. All right, so there you have it. Put that back to zero, and let's move on over to the def part. All right, so your def needed will be 10 gallons. You will need 10 gallons. This is based on uh, the miles driven. Uh, and I've got this data from online. Usually, for every, I forgot what it was, for every 50 gallons needed, you would need, I don't know, a gallon of depth. So that's how I calculated that. That was the data that I've received off the internet. All right, so now let's go ahead and move on to that. We've taken care of the depth. And right here, here's your total gross pay for that load. Your taxable pay, your net pay for that load, and this is factored in according to all of your expenses. This is tied into your out-of-pocket fuel costs and your total expenses. All right. Now, your total expenses is based on however you want to base it on, but anything that surpasses 5 days, uh, according to the miles driven, it calculates that. Now, you can, like for your expenses, if, let's say, for an example, you only ran 1,500 miles. And if you only ran 1,500 miles, then you would change this based on miles, or you can base it upon uh, based by weekly. Now, if you base this by weekly, what will happen is that it would take all of those expenses out based on that week. Now, if you change it to based on miles, it takes it out based on miles driven. Okay, so the system already knows that you can't drive more than uh, those miles based upon your speed due to the 70-hour rule, or the I'm sorry, based upon the 14-hour rule, the 11 hours of driving. Okay, so it will only deduct from those days driven. But however, this plays the based on week plays helps you out if you're only planning on driving only 15 miles, 1,500 miles for that week. Then you can just take out everything, like your truck expenses and all. All right, now let's go ahead and move over to the expenses. Now here is where you would add in all of your expenses. For the first column here, your expenses would be your truck payment, your collision, bobtail insurance, glass coverage, buy down, deductible buy down, etc. Occupational, workman's comp, and if they're taken out for your pre-passes and your EODs. Okay. Now for the second column, oh, and by the way, if you have more expenses, you can just include it at the bottom and then just put in the amount. Okay, so now the middle column are deductions based on cents per mile. Okay, if you have like a maintenance account, if you want to take out 5 cents a mile, you can put that here as well. Or if you're paying in the warranty, I know I am leased on to Swift Transportations, so I am on the MRP program for that warranty, and they take out 7 cents per mile for that. Okay, let's go ahead and move over to your last column right here. This right here is for like balance payment type. All right, so like for me, Swift takes out for my heavy highway taxes. They take out $15 a week. Now there is a balance. Every time that $15 reaches up to $285, this the balance remains zero. Okay, so this is what this column is for. And for your performance escrow, I believe they take out up to $3,000 now, and for every week it's $50. And when it reaches that $3,000 right here, I only have $2,500. But for an example, if it reaches $2,500, then you will have to manually change these numbers to zero. Okay. All right. Now let's move back on over. And like I said before, that this expense sheet, it's everything is calculated. All right, so let's go ahead and change the pay type to company driver. And company drivers, they get paid cents per mile. If you do get percentage, you can change that as well. I know I used to drive for TMC. And TMC, they got, I believe it was like, I don't know, back then, a way a long time ago, it was 35% of the load. I'm pretty sure it's more now. So I don't even have 35%. So let's just go ahead and change this to, I'm sorry, change it to company pay. Now for company pay, I know some companies, they pay their drivers 65 cents a mile. If you don't get paid empty miles, you would just simply put it at zero. Okay, but I know most companies, they pay, uh, according to us, minimum wage, which is like 45 cents. Let's just go ahead and put 45 cents here, and they also get paid the same for empty miles. Um, if they get paid less for empty miles, then they would just modify that. But I'm pretty sure, uh, you would get paid the same for empty miles. All right, so let's go ahead and move on down. We're gonna leave the loaded miles the same. Deadhead miles at 63. Mountain driving 0. We're just gonna leave all that as 0 because the mountain miles, that's pretty much dealing with your fuel economy. Of course, company drivers, they don't pay the fuel, so we can just leave all that 0. Loaded weight, you can leave that. Up to you. All right. The speed, you can leave that. The fuel price, company drivers do not pay for fuel, so you just zero that out. Okay. Uh, Weight, if you want to, you can just zero all that out. All right. So now, here we have it. Now you will see a negative because company drivers, they don't have any expenses. You would then put all of this to zeros. Okay. And then you won't have that negative, okay, for taxable pay. Or like if you want to deduct your 401k, your medical, then you can also include those expenses in here as well. Up to you. So of course your rate right here, it doesn't change. 45 cents, 45 cents. Um, there's your gross pay. Like I said, if you want to take out your expenses, you would do that on the other sheet, and then this will give you your net pay. Instead of taxable pay, you would just put net. It would just be considered net pay. Okay. So there you have it. I hope I didn't leave anything out. And here is your escrow. All of your escrow deductions. Okay. All right. So let's see. I think I've covered everything. I'm not sure if I covered the truck type or like the fuel tolerances. So let's just go ahead and put that back to percentage for an example. Let's give it a fuel price, def, fuel surcharge. We're gonna leave that at 0. Okay, now for owner operators, pay attention to this. Let's go back to 65%. Now, depending on the type of truck you have, it it plays a big part in your money, fuel economy, how much gas you're burning, according to how fast you're going, how many miles you're driving, your tows, slumpers, etc. All right. So here is where this program really helps out, guys. All right. Depending on the type of truck you have, and depending on the type of job that you're running with that truck, this is what helps you. Let's just say you have a Pete 379, and let's just go ahead and give it an engine. I know Pete's, they come in either Cummins, Peckhorse, or Cats. I don't have Cats in here. Let's just give it a Peckhart, 405 horsepower, and let's give it a gear ratio. Like I said, depending on the type of equipment you have and what you're pulling, okay? And normally, heavy haulers, they usually have a higher gear ratio if they're like doing mountain drivers or whatever. You can factor all of this stuff in. Now, if you notice here, excuse me, if you notice here, keep an eye on the gallons needed, okay? and your average miles per gallon. All right, so let's go ahead and give this baby some weight. All right, loaded weight. Let's give it 29,000 pounds. And if you notice, your average miles per gallon drops to 7.21. All right, so now let's go a little bit heavier. Now we're at 6.56 according to the type of truck. Now we're going to change this truck to a Freightliner. Okay, now watch the miles per gallons. It's going to go up. You see, it's going to go up. And let's give it a lower, even lower gear ratio. You're saving even more money on fuel. Okay, less gallons are needed. All right, and of course, also the engine also plays a role. All right, so this is a 405 horsepower Packard. Let's give it a good old Detroit. All right, not much change there. Although the change, it's on engine tolerance. I'm pretty sure the engine tolerance will change down here, but not much difference. But when you change it to a bigger engine, here, let's see if that engine tolerance change. Okay, Packard. Ah, you see there, the engine tolerance change on that DD, 530 horsepower. So let's see the difference between a Packard 405 and a Detroit 405. A Detroit 400 horsepower. Yep, not much difference. I guess that's the data that I got from online. Okay, so not much difference. All right, so there you have it. For heavy haulers, all right, heavy haulers they usually use KWT W900s and Peterbilt's 379s. All right, gear ratio, um, pretty much high. Flatbed, okay. Now with flatbed, you can pretty much carry heavier loads, 48,000 up to 48,000 pounds or heavier. All right. Wow, look at that. Look at that MPG for that heavy hauler. 6.22 miles to the gallon. You know, wow. And let's go ahead and give it some mountain driving. 6.02 miles to the gallon. All right. Hmm. Interesting. And of course, if I change this to like a reefer or a van, it's going to tell me that it's overweight. You see there? Because this is pretty much for heavy hauling or flatbed. 48,000 pounds. All right. So if I give it a reasonable weight, even your reefer, depending on the weight, I know reefers sometimes they still cannot hold 45,000 pounds. So if I change it to a van, um, you're able to hold that. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I hope that I have covered everything. If you guys have any questions, please do feel free to drop whatever questions you have in the comments. If you guys like a copy of this, like I said, it's not the best or it's not as accurate as your truck. You can give me more feedback. The more feedback you give me, the better I can adjust these tolerances that will be pretty much more accurate to the type of truck. Or if you want me to add more trucks, I can do that as well. So if you guys have any questions, please do leave them in the comments below, and please do like the video and subscribe to my channel. All right, hopefully I will be doing more demonstrations on this, and I believe I've covered everything. Let me just go here and check to make sure that I've covered everything. All right, looks like I did. Oh yeah, I forgot to cover Swift. Swift, the company that, yes, the company that I am leased on to. I did not cover Swift. So Swift also have a Swift pay scale. Okay, so here at the bottom here, here is the pay scale for Swift. For their deadhead rate, it's 90 cents. And anything in between 1 to 250 miles, they pay $1.50. So everything is, and so on. So everything is calculated. Anything that's over 801, they pay $1.20. They do get a fuel surcharge. This is for owner operators only. They do get a fuel surcharge based on the national average. Right now, I believe is at point 0.6 something, 0.62 for an example. I don't know. It's been a while since I've checked the national average. But yeah, um, um, you are not able to see, like for example, this pay is disabled according to the Swift pay scale. All right. Since per mile is disabled, percentage is also disabled. Um, so yeah, you still need to factor in the weight because hey, that weight plays a factor in your out of pocket fuel expense. You know, if I change this to a lighter weight, you get better pay. You have to pay less on fuel. See there? You pay less on fuel. So that fuel does play a factor. Oh yeah, of course, we don't have gear ratios that high, so yeah, now we get more money. So yeah, it works. So this is for the Swift pay scale. All right, we do get paid 50 cent. I'm sorry, 90 cent for a deadhead miles. That's included, and normally that's about the rate that we normally get, $1.78. All right, and if the fuel surcharge changes, let's just say the fuel surcharge drops to point 50 cent. Wow, you see, it changes. So yeah, everything works. So yeah, again, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.